Magandang hapon, I'm Trixie for Luminous by Trixie Cruz-Angeles and Ahmed Paglinawan. Ang topic natin for today, in today's live, ay yung dalawang sulat na inanunsyo naman ng palace spokesman na nanggagaling sa dalawang water concessionaires. A little bit of history. Nagsabi ang Pangulo natin na gusto niyang kasuhan ang ilang mga water concessionaires at galit na galit siya nang malaman niya tungkol dun sa mga onerous and grossly disadvantageous ng mga kontrata ng ating mga water concessionaires. Bunga din po ito ng pagkawalan ng tubig natin simula last year. So, ito yung sitwasyon. Humingi ng taas ng water rates ng singil ang ating mga water concessionaires pero walang tubig. So, yun po, in a nutshell, ang pinagre-reacta ng ating Pangulo. At mahaba po ang kasaysayan ng paghihingi ng increases in water rates ng ating mga water concessionaires. As a matter of fact, ayon sa computation, more than 600% na po ang in-increase ng water rates recently ng ating mga water concessionaires. And how is this justifiable? It isn't. Because nung umpisa pa lang po ng privatization ng ating water, ng supply, ng tubig dito sa Metro Manila, one of the primary considerations ay yung taas na nga ng singil ng government-run Manila Water Works and Sewerage System, MWSS. Sa mga customers, ang laki ng lugi nila dahil sa mga non-revenue connections at about 16 hours per day lang on average ang nagiging water supply. So the government entered into private contracts with 2 concessionaires to provide water 24/7, uninterrupted water supply of drinking water standards. Dalawa lang po ang obligasyon na hinihingi din sa ating mga water concessionaires. Gayunpaman, dahil hindi nila na-fulfill yung end nila na yon, nakalkal tuloy ang mga increases na hinihingi ng mga water concessionaires. To be fair, ang Maynilad po, although nanalo sila ng arbitral ruling, hindi nagpakita na sila nagsabi na sila sa ating Pangulo na wala silang interest na singilin pa ito dahil 3 billion lang siguro. However, ang Manila Water, ang siya pong nagsabi originally na sisingilin nila. At nung una, they were really quiet about it until they received a copy of the decision of their arbitral ruling granting them 7 billion. Ang kaso na ito ay bunga ng hindi pagbibigay sa kanila ng kanilang increases na hiningi noong 2013. Ngayon, sabi ng Pangulo, he will publicly read 2 letters that were written to him by the water concessionaires. He wanted to make this transparent. Bakit? Nag-offer po ang dalawang kumpanya ng pampalubag loob. Pero ang pasakali, halimbawa, ng mga taga Manila, ay, kamustahin niyo naman po si Attorney Nick Nangit, nanonood po siya. Magkukomento yan, sigurado ako. At Attorney Nangit is an expert in tax law and has vast knowledge in corporate affairs. So, titingnan natin, antabayanan natin yung mga komento ni Attorney Nangit. Okay, inanunsyo ng palasyo na sumulat yung dalawang korporasyon sa palasyo at during the Senate and congressional hearings, may konting padrama na sinasabi pa ng mga concessionaires, may pagkabias ako. Sinasabi ng mga concessionaires, wow, galit na galit ang presidente at nagsusorry po sila. Hi kay Dwayne Segador. Nanonood po siya. Single po si Dwayne. At sinasabi ng ating Pangulo na itong mga sulat na to will be a matter of public record and a matter of transparency. So, pinadala na po at pinublish ng presidential spokesperson kaninang tanghali. Pero ang sinasabi ng mga water concessionaires, naku, galit na galit ang presidente, we apologize for your anger. Sige po, sabi ng Maynila, hindi na po namin sisingilin yung 3 billion. Ang sagot din naman ng Manila Water, hindi muna namin sisingilin in 2020 yung 7 billion. Pero may pasakali din sila na luging-lugi nga kami dun sa 7 billion lang na yun kasi mas malaki daw yung kanilang ginastos para magbigay ng serbisyo nila sa tubig. Before that, konting recap lang po sa mga na-discuss natin sa Karambola. In the year 2000, pino-audit po ng Manila Water ang dalawang concessionaires to determine, kasi humihingi na po kagad ng price increase ang Manila Water, to determine kung ano po ang naging rate of return sa kanilang mga investment. At ang naging resulta, Maynila had only 7% rate of return, but Manila Water registered at 40.92% na rate of return, way above the 12% cap that is set by law and by the concession agreement, which it is deemed written into the concession agreement. Anong ibig sabihin nito? So, dahil sa COA audit na yon, nang dinirekta po ng MWSS ang Manila Water to reduce its rates under the provisions sa concession agreement na dapat 12% lang ang maging rate of return nila. Umalma po ang Manila Water at sinabi na actually, mali po yung naging basis ng audit ng COA. Kasi ang sabi ng COA, ibinabase lang nila yung audit nila base dun sa mga actual investments in infrastructure at saka dun sa infrastructure that belong to MWSS na ginagamit nila. So, ang naging rate of return ay 40%. Ang sagot ng Manila Water, that is incorrect. Dapat ang basis ay yung evaluation, yung price ng buong waterworks system kasi yun daw ang ginagamit nila. The whole waterworks system, even if hindi sila po ang nag-invest, pero lahat ng property or assets that are turned over by MWSS should be part of the evaluation. Furthermore, sabi nila, ang taxes hindi naman kasama yan dun sa dapat isama yan sa investment. Ang sabi ng COA, hindi dapat kasama yan. Nevertheless, pinipilit po ng Manila Water na isama yan. Pero dahil may technicality, nagkamali po imbis na sa Commission on Public Service nag-file ng kaso, sa Supreme Court, dumiretso yung mga petitioners in a way na ratify po yung agreement ng MWSS na i-revise yung audit at i-lower yung maging basis para sabihin na ang rate of return ng Manila Water was actually a lot smaller than 40%. That was the first Manila Water case. Later on, in 2000, dahil may mga rate rebasing periods doon sa concession agreement 2003, 2008, 2013, and 2018. In 2013, humingi na naman po ng rate rebasing ang Manila Water. Ayon kay Conrad Banal, ang basis po, ang hinihingi ng Manila Water ay i-rebase ang presyo ng ginastos nilang initial investment every 5 years. Hindi po nire-revise yung assessment ng immovable property o yung infrastructure na binili ng investment na yan. Ang nire-evaluate ay yung pera, yung value ng pera. In which case, it's never going to happen na bababa yung value na yon. Imbis na ganun, ang nangyayari ay dahil sa rate rebasing, yung initial investment, yung value ng pera ng initial investment nila is growing and growing, so lumalaki ng lumalaki yung rate rebasing nila at nabibigyan po sila ng dahilan para magtaas ng kanilang presyo. Okay? In 2013, dinanay po sila ng Metro Manila, ng MWSS, at ito po ang naging basihan ng kaso dito sa Permanent Court of Arbitration na dininig po sa Singapore. At base doon ay inawardan ng PCA ang Manila Water ng 7 billion dahil sa hindi pagtaas, hindi sila pinayagan na taasan yung kanilang rates base doon sa rate rebasing schedule in the concession agreement at base doon sa revised terms ng audit nila. Ayun. So ngayon, galit na galit ang presidente kasi nalaman niya na pass on yung corporate income taxes. They can claim it as a loss at yun po ay sinisingil sa gobyerno. Totoo naman ang sinasabi ng Manila Water doon sa hearing sa, if I'm not mistaken, sa Senado, ang sinasabi ng Manila Water, hindi namin pinapasa sa consumers yung aming income taxes at nagbabayad kami ng income tax. What they did not say is that sinisingil nila ito sa DOF. Or sa MWSS, either under the rate rebasing scheme or here in the arbitral ruling, bahagi po siya dun sa 7 billion na hinihingi nila. Or dun sa under extraordinary price increases, maaari nilang i-claim ito as a loss. So nakatago siya at kung hindi po tataasan ng presyo, then like the arbitral ruling, they can just present a bill to the Department of Finance for the execution of their contract, and the Department of Finance will issue the appropriate disbursement. Diba? So, nalaman ng presidente na pinapaso yung income taxes, nalaman niya na based on the terms of the contract, pwede silang humingi ng mga extraordinary price increases. Halimbawa, pag natatalo sila sa kaso, yung loss nila doon ay maaari nilang isingil doon sa increase ng presyo. Or, if it's a damage suit against the government, then sinisingil nila ito through the DOF. Or, under the rate rebasing, which is almost every 5 years, the last being in 2013, they are allowed to reevaluate the cost of their investment para yun ang magiging, para yung bagong evaluation na yun ay magiging bagong basis para sa increase in the rates na hinihingi nila sa kanilang mga consumers. Sabi ng presidente, grabe, wala sila talagang talo. Parang and ang description nga natin doon ay parang ang tinatabo lang nila yung pera because there's no way they're going to lose. And in fact, sumisingil sila for investments that they never made. Dahil nga, ang hiningi nila sa MWSS na ang basehan ng rate rebasing nila, hindi yung property that they actually invested in or bunga ng kanilang mga investments, kundi sinasama din yung property na tinurn over ng MWSS na wala naman silang kagastos-gastos doon. Okay, so the two letters, sabi ng Pangulo, sinasabi ni Presidential Spokesperson Sal Panelo, wala pang sagot ang ating Pangulo dito sa mga sulat na ito. Gayunpaman, mahalaga para sa ating Pangulo na ilahad ito sa publiko para nakikita natin kung anong intensyon ng mga water companies. First, ang Maynilad sumulat, maikli lang, nakapost naman po ito sa Luminous kung gusto niyo pong sundan later on. Basahin lang po natin. Your Excellency, sabi ng Maynilad. Maynilad wishes to assure His Excellency of its willingness to cooperate with MWSS relative to His Excellency's directive to have certain provisions of the concession agreement reviewed and amended. Willingness to cooperate. Hindi sila pumapayag, hindi sila nagsasabi ng anything. They're just saying, sige, we're willing to cooperate. Sabi nila, we are in solidarity with His Excellency in His desire to provide our people access to water and wastewater services at affordable rates. Finally, bakit nasama ang wastewater? Kasi nga may Supreme Court decision dun sa Manila Water na fina-fine po sila dahil sumisingil po sila ng sewerage fees pero wala silang binibigay na sewerage services. So, finally, we reaffirm Maynilad's unwavering commitment to His Excellency's efforts in nation building, economic growth, and stability of service to our people. Underneath the motherhood statements, isa lang po ang sinasabi ng Maynilad. They're saying they're willing to cooperate. What does that mean even? Well, on certain things, hindi sila nagre-respond. Halimbawa, wala silang response dun sa ginawa ng MWSS na binaliwala na nila ang extension. They voided the extension of the concession agreement. So the concession agreement is going to expire in 2022. The water companies have only so many days bago nila pwedeng i-apila itong decision na ito. But before that, there is an appeals board na iko-constitute, and then after that, they can also bring this matter to arbitration based on the concession agreement. Ang tingin ko dyan, ahead na yung ating gobyerno, but we can discuss that part later. Ngayon, what did Maynilad actually say? They're willing to cooperate. They're not saying, okay, we will revise. Okay, let's talk. Well, they're saying, okay, let's talk. We will cooperate. We will not commit. We will just cooperate. But cooperation is limited. Pwede rin naman nilang sabihin, nag-cooperate na kami, nakipag-usap kami sa inyo, pero we cannot agree to the revisions of the contract, of the terms of the contract. Ganun din. In other words, they're not really saying very much. It's worse dito sa Manila Water. Mahaba-haba yung sulat nila. Pero sabi nila, Dear President Duterte, thank you for the opportunity you have given us to discuss our position relating to your directive to MWSS, to identify provisions that are considered illegal, onerous, or disadvantageous to the government in our water concession agreement, and to recommend appropriate policy actions to remedy the same. Take note, ang ginamit nilang term is discuss our position. They are not going to give in. They're just saying that, uy, salamat, binibigyan niyo kami ng pagkakataon na sabihin sa inyo kung ano yung posisyon namin. Hindi kami sumasang-ayon, hindi kami sumusuko, sinasabi lang namin, uy, salamat, binigyan niyo kami ng pagkakataon na i-discuss ito. Ay, pakikaway naman si Assistant Director ng OWA, si Ms. Margo Uson, nanonood po siya. Number 2, we will defer the implementation of the approved water charge increase. In deference to and out of respect to you, Mr. President. Nax. Out of respect to you. Ibig sabihin, pinagbibigyan nila ang presidente. In deference to. Yan. Parang, sige, dahil presidente ka, at out of respect for you. Sige, dahil nire-respeto ka namin. Kumbaga, nagpipigil sila. Manila Water has decided on these 3 actions. Sila ang nagdesisyon, ha? Hindi tayo. Hindi yung presidente. Number 1, we will not collect on 7.39 billion arbitral award. Hindi daw nila kokolektahin. They will not collect. What does that mean? Well, depends on who owns the debt. Kung the debt is determined to belong to the government, then they will not collect from the government, but they can collect from the people. If it is determined that it is the consumers, the customers who own the debt, who are the creditors who have to pay this, then hindi nila sisingilin sa gobyerno, sisingilin nila. They will not collect on the debt. Parang gano'n. There's so many things that can go on in that one. Okay? Will not collect on 7.39 arbitral award. It will depend talaga on who is the creditor. And by the way, they can say that they will not collect it now, but they can ask for an increase, an extraordinary price increase based on the loss of this return that was subject of the arbitral award. Okay? Sabi ni Paula Fini, si Mocha, my love, nanonood. Okay, number 2, sabi ng Manila Water, we will defer the implementation of the approved water charge increase. Defer the implementation. There are 2 things there, defer and implementation. Ibig sabihin dun sa implementation, kasi approved na, they're not talking about it being reviewed. They're not talking about anything like that. They are going to defer. Hindi muna sila magtataas ng presyo sa ngayon. It doesn't mean na hindi sila magtataas ng presyo. Hindi muna sila magtataas ng presyo na in-approve na. So, pinaninindigan nila yung approved na na water charge increase. Take note, pwede rin pa pong kung onerous po yung based on kung base po yon sa onerous provisions ng contract, pinaninindigan po nila na hindi yan onerous kasi approved na po. Okay? We wrote the MWSS Administrator and Chairman on December 3 to express our intention to work out an arrangement that will effectively defer the implementation of the approved water charge. Inulit nila yung word na deferred. Ibig sabihin, pinaninindigan nila na valid ito, pero sinasabi nila, sa ngayon, hindi muna namin i-implement. Ito nga yung problema. Kung yung base ng increase ninyo ay dun sa mga onerous provisions ng kontrata, halimbawa, rate rebasing, there is no way that is going to be valid. Kasi nga, pag once inamin na onerous yung provisions ng contract na yon at yung rate increase ay base sa isang onerous provision, that is supposed to have no effect. Okay? So yung dalawa, on 3, we have agreed to and started discussions on the provisions that will be renegotiated as detailed in the MWSS letter we received yesterday. So sumulat ang MWSS sa kanila at binanggit kung ano yung mga provisions na kinoconsider na onerous. We responded to this letter proposing to immediately start discussions and expedite negotiations. Ibig sabihin, okay? Pag-uusapan. Sinasabi nila pwede natin madaliin yung pag-uusapan natin dito and start renegotiations. Are they committing to remove these provisions? No. They're only committing to talk about renegotiations, not exactly renegotiating. Okay? Sabi nila, Mr. President, we heed your call to revisit and renegotiate certain provisions of the concession agreement. We fully share your mandate to put the interest of the people as the primary objective. We will work closely with the proper government agency to make sure that the 7.39 arbitral award will not have to be paid by the government directly or through the customers. We will work closely with the government agency to make sure that the arbitral award will not have to be paid by the government directly, meaning kukolekta sila sa government, or through the customers through a rate increase. That remains to be seen. What are the important words in this letter? Deferment, renegotiation, discussions on renegotiation. Take note, they're not agreeing to renegotiation. They are agreeing to start discussions on the provisions that will be renegotiated. Meaning they may not agree yet that these provisions are onerous. Okay? So what are they saying? Basically, what Manila Water is saying is, sige, cooperate kami. Makikipag-usap kami. Will we renegotiate? Walang nakalagay po dito. We will discuss which provisions can be renegotiated. Hindi pa sila pumapayag na mag-renegotiate. But let's see. This was signed by the chairman of Manila Water, Fernando Sobel de Ayala. Nakikita natin dito that both companies are very, very, very careful. You know why? Because if they agree to renegotiate, it is as though they are agreeing that the terms of the agreement are in fact onerous and disadvantageous to the government. And they are afraid to agree to that. Why? Yung term na disadvantageous to the government po kasi can be found in Republic Act 3019 or the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. So kung this constitutes graft or corruption, then by conspiracy or because they benefited from this, then there is a criminal liability on the part of Manila Water for the violation of 3019, and if their gain is more than 50 million, then this becomes plunder. Okay? Kaya mahalaga po pinakikinggan natin ang ating Pangulo when he uses the terms grossly disadvantageous to the government because this is a criminal offense. Okay, let's look into your question. Sabi ni Luke Oliver, batas, maraming butas. Kung walang butas ang batas, ay walang trabaho ang mga mayayaman o yumamong abogado. Ako, I disagree. Ang batas dito is the contract. Okay? And, kumbaga, pumayag kasi yung gobyerno. Yun yung sinasabi ng Manila Water. Pumirma lang po kami dyan sa kontrata na yan. In other words, they're not responsible for the onerous terms and they are not responsible for the terms that are grossly disadvantageous to the government. Hugas kamay. Of course, they can't admit that kasi nga, yun ang magiging admission yan doon sa kanilang criminal liability. Sabi ni Marvin, all these things started doon sa agreement mismo. Ay, yun na nga eh. No, actually, it started when President Ramos decided to privatize the water services in Metro Manila, congruent or pursuant daw to the IMF directive to privatize government assets and make them useful. Okay? So, if you will look at the history of the privatization, yung mga legal basis for privatizing the water services came after kinonvene na ng Pangulo noon, si President Ramos, yung Committee on Privatization. Ibig sabihin, these laws, the Executive Order and the Water Crisis Act were entered into or were enacted after nag-decide na sila na ipa-privatize. Itong dalawang to, they provided supposedly the legal basis for privatization later on. Sabi ni Rodelio Bulaon, nung ginawa o pinasok ba yung provision na yan, may nanalo na o ginawa yan para makaengganyo ng mga bidder or mamumuhunan. Yung mga terms po were discussed with the bidders. All three of them, Aboitiz, Maynila, and Manila Water before the bidding began. Or before the terms of the bidding were enacted, so to speak. Sabi ni Albert Cosales Pernia, there is an MOU, both parties have consent, kaya investigasyon kailangan at kasuhan kung sino nagkamali o nagkasala. I doubt kung mali po ito. Alam po nila yung effects nito, or they should have known. Sabi ni Intig Espinido Jr., maliwanag na maliwanag ang ibig sabihin ng onerous contract. Wala na dapat pang ipaliwanag sila, baguhin lahat ang kontrata para parehas ang laban. Hindi po kasi ganun kasimple yon. We have to go to court para i-void natin yung contract. That is why the President prefers a renegotiation. Hindi na po itatali sa hukuman ang mga ito. Although, to be fair, ni-recognize na po ng ating Korte Suprema doon sa previous cases. The first case in 2014, doon sa kaso ng Freedom from Debt Coalition versus MWSS, sinabi ng pinakamataos ng hukuman, minamadali po nila ang mga resolution sa ganitong kaso dahil nire-recognize nila ang priority na binibigay natin sa mga kontrata on the services of water dahil water is life. Nabi po ng Supreme Court yan. Sabi ni Ana Costa, is it possible the government will take over? Marami po kailangan munang gawin bago magka-take over ang gobyerno. Kailangan po halimbawa may bagong batas na that will allow, well actually they can take it back anytime because water belongs to the state, no? Kaya lang, you want to be able to take over, I apologize, mali yung first answer ko. You want to be able to take over nang hindi kayo tinatali in litigation ng dalawang water concessionaires. So how do you do this? If you renegotiate, that implies that both parties have consent. So ibig sabihin, walang pag-aawayan, i-renegotiate na lang, and then they will come to an agreement about certain provisions. That is the simplest and easiest way to, not for government, but well, government can take over, halimbawa, after 2022. But now, renegotiation po ang pinag-uusapan. Now, ang ginawa ng MWSS is to void the extension of the contract. So in that sense, government actually takes over in 2022. But that part is not sure yet kasi hindi pa nagre-react yung dalawang water concessionaires. We know that they're not going to take this sitting down, so makikita natin na kung binawi man yung extension dito, I expect that these two companies will file either cases for arbitration or will appeal it before the board and then go to arbitration or ask the Supreme Court for a temporary restraining order, which I doubt that they will get kasi sa 2022 pa po yun. Sabi ni Dexter Gasik, makakabawas ba ng liabilities ang pag-admit ng onerous ang contract? No, actually lalala. Makakadagdag ng criminal liability. That's kung itutuloy. Ngayon, yun yung sinasabi ko. We're not sure kung itutuloy yung criminal cases against them because the president is using that as a threat. Renegotiate or I will sue and I will put you in jail. So that's that's what kumbaga that's the stick that the president is using. Ngayon, kung papatay-patay sila dito sa renegotiation, then pwede silang tuluyan ng pangulo. Sabi ni Draco Santos, kung matuloy ang renegotiation ng contract, hindi ba magiging dahilan nito upang humina ang kaso ng government versus concessionaire? It could be considered an avoidance of lawsuit. Ganito yan. Both parties know that going to court is a toss-up. Right now, kung madaliin yung kaso, the government will win. Pero if it is post-2022, matagalan yung kaso, nakita natin yung nangyari, BBM versus Lenny, talo sa tagal. Di ba? Pwedeng panalo ka on paper, talo ka sa tagal. So, either party can tie this up in litigation. So, the party that will benefit from a delay can tie this up in litigation. So, yung paghihina ng kaso, I think, it's more likely that the president will just impose penalties through MWSS on the water concessionaires and then rebid water concession, set up for rebidding the water concession in 2022. Why do I think that there's not going to be additional cases? Because the cases are a threat and it is a fallback. Kung di mag-renegotiate, then they go to court. And this time, the president will not be kind. It will be everything. Administrative cases against the lawyers, civil cases for damages against the concessionaires, criminal cases against both the concessionaires and the government officials who are responsible for this onerous contract. Sabi ni Juan Carlos Crisologo, papasukin bagong player, daming mayayamang bilyonaryong inchik. Maski dito sa Australia, maraming inchik buyers sa big companies dito. Meron po kasing cap on 40% of ownership. So I'm not sure if that's going to be conducive to foreign companies. Sabi ni Suzette Loyola, nagkaroon ng water crisis dahil gusto nilang i-privatize yan, sinabotahin nila noon. Sabi ni Boy Castro, meron kayong involvement si Rene Cayetano sa drafting ng contract. He was presidential legal counsel, so supposedly, he was the one who cleared the contracts at sinabi niya legal and kumbaga appropriate. And if he did his job, then he would have advised President Ramos of the effects of these contracts. Sabi ni Annie Lynn Mejos, so mahirap pala talaga silang kasuhan. Kawawa naman si PRRD. Hindi ko sinabi yan. Ang sinasabi ko, madali magkaso. But the thing is, nagkakaso ka because you have a specific outcome in mind. If you're not getting that outcome within the time frame that you need, then in that sense, talo ka. So, ang cases, you have to determine what your goal is. It isn't the whether you win or lose dun sa kaso that determines whether you win or lose. Okay? Sometimes, some cases are filed for harassment. So, kung naharas mo yung tao, kahit matalo ka in the long run, panalo ka dahil naharas mo. Some cases are filed to delay certain events. Kung matalo ka in the long run, pero na-delay mo yung gusto mong i-delay, panalo ka. So, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying is that these cases, it will depend on what our goal is in filing them. Ang goal ng Pangulo, and I'm guessing here, ang goal ng Pangulo in all likelihood is to bring down the water rates and ensure that that water services are uninterrupted and of the quality that is needed. And clearly, these water companies are not doing that. If they don't shape up, they should lower their rates, stop asking for extraordinary price increases, stop asking for rate rebasing based on very onerous evaluations or assessments, and start pulling your weight, putting in water sources, putting in the necessary infrastructure, putting in sewerage, etc. Then it's possible that okay na, di na muna kayo kakasuhan for now, pero umayos kayo. Diba? Kung umayos sila kaagad, within the term of the president, then I think that we would have won, even if we didn't file the cases. If that is the goal. Ngayon, if your goal talaga is gusto natin makakita ng bilyonaryo na makulong, edi ngayon pa lang, without a renegotiation, nagpa-file na po ng mga kasong Pangulo. So I think that mostly he's trying to get a good deal for us. Sabi ni Eugene Kaling, watching from Jeddah. Thank you daw. You're welcome po. Sabi ni JC de Gavilan, ilan na ang kinita ng Manila Water and Maynilad mula noong 1997? Ang estimate po ni Congressman Lito Atienza is 160 billion. Sabi ni Yol Palmero, sana po ituloy ng gobyerno ang pagkakaso sa mga oligarch, lalo na dun sa mga nakikipagkontrabahan sa kanila. Well, there is another option, is that marinegotiate ng Pangulo, umayos yung mga water companies, but he will still file some of the cases. I think that is win-win for everybody. Para rin, it sends a chilling effect na hindi mo pwedeng basta-basta pagkakitaan ng taong bayan in such grabe nakakakuba itong mga impositions nila. So it's a strong message to other private companies who bid for public services. Sabi ni Jap Handaf, it is a valid reason that government can take over if these water concessionaires will increase rates related to dismissal or extended contract. Ganito, base dun sa jurisprudence sa Estados Unidos, a government can take over a public utility kapag it's in the public interest and immediately if time is of the essence. So, ang halimbawa ng kaso na ito sa Estados Unidos, giyera. Tapos, merong isang industriya, if I'm not mistaken, the steel industry, sumisingil sila ng taxes. Kumbaga, nagtataas sila ng presyo or ginagawa nilang mahal yung steel nila samantalang kailangan ng gobyerno ito dahil nga giyera at kailangan nila ito for the war machinery. Ginawa ng government, they took over the industry at inuphold ng Federal Supreme Court yun at sinasabi nila na these are the kinds of instances where government can take over actually any industry provided it is in the public interest. Okay? So, it has to be ganon level, at least based on the jurisprudence, bago mag-take over unilaterally yung gobyerno. Another aspect is, the government cannot take property without just compensation and only for the public interest. So, yung takeover na ito, we have to make sure na hindi rin nalulugi yung mga kumpanya. Now, yun yung phrase ngayon, hindi nalulugi, that needs to be evaluated by a court. Sasabihin ng court kung, uy, ang laki na nang nasingil na ngayon, sobra na yung siningil ninyo, may daya pa kayo. kung mag-take over ang gobyerno, wala na dapat ibayad sa inyo. So, pwede yun. But it is a court that's going to say that. Okay? Also, a court can say, sige, bigyan niyo ng konting barya to. Kasi malulugi sila dun sa mga anticipated nila na kita. Pero only yung mga up to 12% rate of return. So, pwedeng ganon. So, it will still be determined by a court. So, the government can take over, but they can take over either by filing a case or they take over physically and wait for the concessionaires to be the ones to file the case. Sila yung maghabol. And then, titignan natin, sino ang magpapadelay dyan. Okay? Sabi ni Jojo Bautista, pwede po bang kasuhan si Tobacco about this? In theory, nakikita ko, pero hindi ko pa kasi nakikita yung ebidensya, what we have is the histories, it is possible. Unang-una, yung pag-ratify niya dun sa mga irregularities dito sa privatization. Halimbawa, yung nagdi-discuss with the bidders before the bidding, yung legal basis, ginawa after na-convene na yung privatization. In other words, andyan na gusto mo lang na mag-privatize, kaya pina-enact mo yung mga legal basis na yan. But actually, even without the legal basis, you had been in the process of privatization already. Sabi ni Paige Quevedo Johnson, she's watching from Sweden and she's saying thank you. Sabi ni Yunaide Vinya, dapat makulong na pero baka parang peace talks, itutuloy naman daw, baka urong-sulong. I doubt it. May specific strategy yung Pangulo natin. And it's been effective. Kasi nga, bumibigay na eh. Sipin mo, sinabi na ng o sige, hindi na namin sisingilin itong 7.5. O sige, hindi na namin sisingilin itong 3 whatever billions na pinanalo namin sa mga kaso. Ako, first, I want to get that in a legally binding document, and two, para hindi masasabi nila later on na pinilit at tinatakot kami ng Pangulo at tapos they'll wait for the next president tapos ipapa-reverse nila yan. So, but gumagalaw sila, di ba? So, we also see na although grudgingly, we're willing to negotiate. We're willing to talk. Bumibigay-bigay din sila. In other situations, they would have just either gone to court or gone back to arbitration. And the other thing is, the President has raised this several times, is dahil malalaki itong malalalim ang bulsa ng mga binangga niya, it is not far-fetched that they will try to take him down. So the President has to formulate a strategy where he will not be taken down, but he can get the best deal possible for us and maybe see some people in jail. That's the best outcome that we can hope for here. Sabi ni Suzette Loyola, nakakapagtaka lang bakit kailangan ng MWSS ng concessionaires kung sasabihin nilang kulang sila sa manpower, bakit ang mga concessionaires kinaya? Di ba kaya mag-hire ng government ng dagdag na tao para sa pagtakbo ang MWSS? Actually, kasi ang hihina nga ng mga nagpatakbo ng MWSS noon. Sabi ni Rami Legaspi, supposedly lahat ng basic services ay hawak ng gobyerno, pinaprivatize ito dahil gusto ng mga oligarchs kasapakat ang mga corrupt politicians na hawakan sa liig ang taong bayan na i-control tayo at the same time kumikita sila sa paggisa nila sa sarili nating mantika. That is correct. Vic Solde says, is it valid? Pirmado ang kontrata of both parties pero walang pangalan or printed name who signed it. Ay, hindi po. Nakikita nyo lang po is a sample of the concession agreement. But the actual concession agreement po, may pirma yan. Kompleto po yung mga elemento nun. Sabi ni Angelo Mahayahay, sana po, i-point out po yung question about sa formula ng rate increases kasi dun po yung formula ng MWSS, Bagsaking Maynila at Manila Water. Opo. That's, if I'm not mistaken, that's one of those identified na onerous provisions of the contract. Sabi ni Rafael Sanchez, it's time for Department of Water to implement. I'm not sure if it should be a Department of Water. Ganito yan eh. If you have bad people, you have bad people. MWSS had power na before and they still didn't do it right. Sabi ni Buang Herrera, ipakulong na lang yan, mga bilyonaryo. Kasi pag hindi, baka pagkatapos ng termino ng Presidente Duterte, ay lagay ang mga kaalyado na naman nila, at mga kaalyado na naman nila nakaupo, baka gumanti mga yan, kasuhan na sila para makulong. I see actually your point. Sabi ni Sunny Navera, salamat may presidente tayong may tunay na malasakit sa sambayanan at salamat sa mga karambulista at Luminous na nagpapaliwanag at nagtuturo sa atin ng walang sawa. Okay. Sige, recap po natin ha. Basically, what the two letters are saying, they're willing to cooperate, and to some extent, Manila Water says they're willing to talk. Okay? So they're willing to start discussions on the provisions that will be renegotiated. Ano yan? Start discussions on the provisions that will be renegotiated. We're not agreeing na ito yung mga provisions na i-renegotiate. Discussion lang. Basically, what they're both saying is, okay po, makikipag-usap kami. Pero yung pag-uusap na yan, hindi yan renegotiation, hindi yan admission, hindi yan kahit ano, makikipag-usap sila, mag-cooperate sila. Pero yung cooperation na yan ay manifest through their pakikipag-usap. That's it. They're not saying much more. Kaya nga pinapakita ng Pangulo natin yan. It doesn't show a sincerity to remove the onerous provisions of the contract. It doesn't show a sincerity to lower the water rates. They're not showing a sincerity to better their service. They're just saying, sige, makikipag-usap kami. And not committing to anything else. So, but at the same time, we're seeing that the President is managing the problem. He can just, alam mo, if the President wanted to sue them, he would have done it immediately as soon as the DOJ had submitted its findings on the onerous provisions and the contracts, provisions that are grossly disadvantageous to the government. The fact that he didn't, and the fact that he's allowing them to renegotiate is, he's looking for a simpler solution than suing and mere takeover. Because he knows na may mga problema ito. However, in the same breath, he's not saying he's not averse to doing that. He's just going to look at the simplest legal possibilities or the most legally sound means of ensuring better water services at lower rates. Hindi pa niya sinasabing hindi siya magdedemanda, hindi siya nagsasabing hindi niya yan. In fact, he's saying na malaking possibility na he gets taken down, but he's also issued his own threats. What he's saying is that my boys in the military, if they follow my directive, if I get taken down, they're coming after you. Okay? So, do not underestimate the strategy and what is going on here. Okay? How they are publicly talking to each other. The President has threatened, they decided na, ay, tinatakot kami. Sige, willing kaming makipag-usap. And that's it, di ba? Ang sinasabi ng Presidente, pakukulong ko kayo, kakablock ko kayo, tatanggalan ko kayo ng mga lisensya, etc. And the President can do that. In fact, the President can direct government to take over these things. But, binibigyan na sila ng chance. We have a chance. Come clean and give us better service. If not, ay maghahalo ang balat sa tinalupan. Yan. And I think that we really should hand it to the President. Tama yung approach niya. Because nakikita natin nagre-react yung kabila. On the other hand, you also have to be careful. Yung pagre-react ng kabila, the pressure that the water concessionaires are feeling might lead them to try to do something that will hurt or harm our President. So that's also what we have to watch out for. In the end, right now, things are still up in the air para tong basketball. Bumalya yung Presidente, sumagot sila, pero it's more like a faint, umiiwas-iwas sila, tignan nila, pwede ko bang i-dribble ito? Pwede ba akong makalusot dito? No, not yet. I-reiterate ng Presidente yan later on. Gagalaw ba kayo? Hindi. MWSS has written the letters. We're now going to see what is going to be the discussion here. Maraming salamat ulit sa pagtangkilig sa Luminous. Maraming salamat sa napaka-intelihente at very timely, very concise questions na binibigay ninyo kasi it also helps clarify the issues here. Huwag pong kakalimutan mag-like at mag-follow sa Luminous. Huwag po kakalimutan i-like at i-share po itong video na ito. By the way, I'm not authorizing the use of this video by anybody, whether it is on YouTube or Facebook, except through legal or legit sharing and through the protection of copyright. Copyright is owned by me, myself, Trixie Cruz-Angeles, and by attorney Ahmed Paglinawan. Last two comments, sabi ni Juvie, yung kilo Schweitzer. Sana po, attorney, wakasan na yung panloloko nila. I think there's a chance. Sabi ni Leoncio Bordios, thank you. Marami akong natutunan sa mga dinidiscuss ninyo. Lalo na sa mga problema nakikita ng ating Pangulo na kailangan ng ganung paliwanag para sa akin na walang alam sa batas. Thank you and more power. Merry Christmas. Holiday greetings then to everybody. We will probably have another live tomorrow. We'll open up a discussion on what topics you want to discuss. In the meantime, maraming salamat po. Have a good day.